conditioning running or something like that.
So you want us to be slow about it, so you don't have to go back and finish conditioning?
I mean, it doesn't really matter.
We've had a lot last.
I was gonna say, my guess is you have put your time in already this week.
You brought yours?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
I know, it's going through my stuff.
I got a couple extra copies.
You want it?
Emily came in pictures up in advance. 'cause she
Oh,
wanted to read
gotcha,
them.
I was like, isn't that the same thing as this? So then
Yeah,
I
no,
was like,
she took hers
oh.
home and was reading over the weekend.
I was starting to like,
Yeah.
No, you're right.
minutes.
No, she
Sorry?
she was in, I don't know, one day last week or
Oh
something.
gosh, it feels longer than that, but you're like, here's this, I was like,
Yeah.
I mean, trusting me to not lose this.
Yep.
Didn't.
Alright, we'll go ahead and call our meeting to order at 5:00. Focus, Emily. Alright, I am here, Renee,
Yes.
Emily,
Yes.
Chris.
Yes.
April's gonna join us shortly, she's just running a couple minutes behind. Kyle,
Here.
Marcus,
Present.
Aaron.
Yep.
Gina's not with us tonight. Hopefully, board members have had a chance to review the agenda, and if I can get either suggested changes or a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as is.
Can I get a second?
I'll second that.
Excellent. All in favor? Any opposed? All right. We have our student council ready to report. Welcome.
Yes. My name is Carson Anderson, and I'm here as the student council president. Here's what Frederic students did in January so far and what is coming up. On January 23rd, we will host an assembly for all 612 students during biking time. We will focus on building up school spirit and engagement. This will be the first of monthly assemblies for the remainder of the year, run by the student council. Students from all grades will be able to earn points for their grade that will carry over each week. Multiple games will be happening at once to engage as many students as possible. Each group of student council members will be in charge of a different game. At the end of May, there will be a celebration for the winner. The goal will be to differentiate the types of games and skills we choose for each event, to give a wide range of students the opportunity to show their talents and build class camaraderie. The next student council assembly will be on February 20th, and we are in the process of building a challenge for all students to be excellent. This will be something that we start in February with a way to honor all of the great things that students are doing in the building each day. More details will come later. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Carson. Back to practice. And he's running. No, I love it. All right, thank you so much. And now we have our audit presentation.
All right.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Come on up.
This is Brandon from Two Rivers Accounting, and how many years have you been doing our audit?
I think 6 maybe, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah. So thank you for having me. I think Libby said that there should be you should have a summary document accompanying your blue packet as well. So that's what I'll cover today. If you have any questions as I'm going through, feel free to stop me, or I could take them at the end too. It works for me either way. So with that, I'll jump right in. Item number 1, pages 1 to 4 in your auditor report. It's called the Independent Auditor's Report. Essentially, this is one of the very few things in this document that are ours as the audit firm. It basically outlines the responsibilities of each party, what it means to have an opinion, what's within the report, so there's some additional supplementary information, kind of outlines what that is as well. You received an unmodified opinion on your financial statements, which is the highest level of financial reporting you can receive, and that basically means that your financial statements are in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. Item number 2, pages 5 to 15 in your report. This is called the management's discussion and analysis. So think of it as like a high-level analysis of the district as a whole. So there's some pretty detailed information in there about your financial information, but it's really comparing year over year what you look like as a district. Okay. Item number 3, notes of the basic financial statements, 24 to 57. These are digging into detail about the district. How do you operate? Information about your cash, debt, capital assets. If you have any major receivables, that would be in there as well. New this year is I believe you have pledges receivable for the scoreboard, if I remember correctly, for that agreement you have there. Information on WRS, really anything about the district that you need in more detail that's not shown in the face of the financial statements. Item number 4, jumping a little bit further into the report, 76 to 79, it's called the Independent Auditor's Report on Internal Control over Financial Reporting, and it continues on there. And I have a note there, see schedule of findings and question costs, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. And then item number 5, 78 to 80, again, another independent auditor's report on compliance for each major federal program. So these two reports kind of go hand in hand, and the reason for that is, since you're monitored by Wisconsin Department of Public Instruction, you're required to have a compliance audit. So you have to be in compliance with the state statutes, you have to be in compliance with the state single audit guides, you have to be in compliance with the uniform audit, or uniform guidance, which is federal funding related. So these two reports are basically that you are in compliance or not in compliance. Ultimately, there are no compliance findings, which is a good thing. Usually compliance findings result in additional monitoring of your school district related to the program that you're not in compliance with. Item number 6, 90 to 97, it's called the schedule of findings and question costs. A lot of these, or all 4 of these, are going to be very similar to what you've seen last year. Lack of segregation of duties, ultimately you have one main person kind of handling all your financial information of the district. So it's your responsibility, right, to help oversee that. Kyle's and yours to help oversee, to make sure that, that you're reducing that risk to the district, correct? Financial accounting reporting under GAAP, or generally accepted accounting principles. Since we help put the financial statements together, we have to report that. There's no really way to get around that. Financial reporting under federal awards and state assistance. Again, since we help put the CFA together, or the Schedule of Federal Expenditures and the Schedule of State Financial Assistance, we simply have to report that. And then material audit adjustments. So this may be a reclassification of revenues to get it in the correct bucket for DPI reporting. It could be reclassification of expense for the same purpose. We determine materiality. If we make it, we don't provide that to Libby or to Kyle. If we make it a dollar amount over, or an entry or a recommended adjustment over that dollar threshold, we have to report that. Not that just because there's an audit adjustment doesn't mean that there's fraud tied to that. If there was, you would have known about it a long time ago. Okay, so keep that in mind. Any questions so far on any of the stuff we've covered? Going through it kind of quick, so I want to make sure you get a chance to ask your questions if you have them. All right, item number 7. Looking at just the general fund, so this is just Fund 10, when you look at it from a high level. Cash and investments at the end of the year were just over $672,000. Taxes receivable just over $1.3 million. Some due from other governments, generally that's your state or federal aids that haven't come in yet that you've claimed, $99,000. And then some other assets of $27,160. So total assets overall in the general fund, just over $2.1 million. Accounts payable, relatively small, $6,232. Accrued payroll and related liabilities, $528,499. And then short term note payable, $250,000. So total liabilities there of $784,731. One of the reasons I probably haven't touched on before, but accrued payroll, why that's relatively high, is essentially your 9-month staff are accrued back. So their contract go through September, but they're all part of that fiscal year. So DPI requires that to all be accrued back. So as July and August payrolls get paid, that liability goes down to 0. Does that make sense? Okay. Looking at fund balance, all of it was unassigned at just over 1.3 million. Revenues for the year, $8,263,569. Expenditures, $8,198,100. Net other financing sources uses $88,809. for a decrease in fund balance of $23,340. Percent of unassigned fund balance to general fund expenditures, you're at 16.7%. The reason we give you that metric is, generally speaking, best case, or best practice would be to be around 25 to 33%. And generally speaking, for most governments, that's gonna allow you to stay out of short-term borrowing. As you can see, for the first time in a few years, you dipped into short-term borrowing. Not that saying that you're in trouble, it just having, your costs are going up a little bit, and just meeting your cash flow needs is changing, right? As with the environment of all governments. So 16.7%, maybe a little bit low, definitely not over, too high by any stretch. Any questions on the general fund or Fund 10?
It's low even though it went up a half a point.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it went up
So,
from,
right, but
yeah.
it's where it has been like all 4 years.
Correct, it's been pretty.
It's who we are.
Yep, it's who you are, exactly. Okay, item number 8, special revenue funds, you have 3 of them. The gift fund, I'm just gonna kind of go on these, high level. Total assets in the gift fund, $290,981. As you can see there, you bring in about 200,000. This year you had a little bit more in expenditures. And then you had, the lease for the scoreboard in there. So a change in fund balance there of 18,894. You have a student activity fund, 9,254 in assets, with a change in fund balance there of 8,883. Food service fund, you had a total assets of 32,962. As you can see in the revenue section or the income statement section, you had revenues of 320,268, expenditures 413,853, and then you had a transfer in from the general fund of 93,585. So pre-COVID, we were most food services were break even, maybe a little better. COVID, they were really doing well. Post-COVID, most have resulted in transfers to Fund 10, or from Fund 10. So you're not out of the ordinary when it comes to that. But we have to be conscious of that, when you're starting to talk of $100,000 transfer from the food service fund. Any questions on those so far? Community service fund, total assets 270,000. Pretty straightforward there for the most part. Essentially, your community service fund handles your daycare. That's the the main part of that fund going overall. Okay. Turning the page to item number 9. We have the debt service fund, total assets 72,298. You can see that's quite a bit of decrease from the previous year. Note that you did a cash defeasance on your referendum debt. And you've done that several times in the last few years. So as that cash builds up, you've done the cash defeasance. So you're well ahead of pace to pay off that referendum debt. Item number 10, capital improvement trust fund, total assets 90,614. This is known as Fund 46, so you kind of save up as you can, and then spend down on your capital projects as needed. Any questions on those 2 funds? Okay. Moving on to item number 11. This is just a summary of your long-term obligations. So you have your funding bonds related to your referendum project of $3,510,000, a bond premium tied with that. So total GO debt of $3,837,211. You have that lease obligation now outstanding, $104,498. Then you have other post-employment benefits, the state portion, so that's tied with your WRS plan, $72,412. Other post-employment benefits, that's just the district only, $489,348. And then the WRS pension plan liability, $365,422. So overall, total long-term debt of the district, $4,868,893. Interest paid for the year on that long-term debt, $147,921. Your equalized value was $564,624, and $56. The reason I highlight that is 10% of that number is what your general obligation debt limit is. So your debt limit is 56,462,406, and you can see at, you know, just over 3.4 million, you're only utilizing 6.1%, so relatively strong there. Any questions on any of the long-term debt?
Okay, those are big numbers, right? So I'm
Those-
new to this, you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
So when you're talking about like the 56 million, what does that mean by general obligation?
So that means that the district would be allowed
That
to,
much go in debt?
yes, not that we would ever recommend that.
No, I'm just like, it's big numbers, so
Yeah,
I'm like,
yep, absolutely.
okay, I can't like, that's
Yeah.
not for our small little school, so, you know, I'm
Right.
like, okay, so 3
Yeah,
is
when you look
pretty
at, I think the original, referendum project was like 7-8 million.
big. Okay,
So considering you paid down to 3.5 million in a short period of time, you know, you're doing pretty well in that regard.
okay.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying, I walked in late,
Let's look
but
at-
then at the end, I'm like, oh.
And if
Yeah.
you look at the great summary we have here, it
Yeah.
shows us like how we've made that progress,
Yeah,
you
no,
know,
I see that we're
2022
going
through, yeah, so we can,
down,
and I think
but-
I think for me, that's what's helpful is to keep in mind, like, looking at those numbers and that progress over those years, that's what we wanted to see.
Yeah, that's your goal, yeah.
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 I mean, I have not seen a district have the ability to cash defease the debt like you have been able to do, so I think with your mill rates kinda, you know, trying to maintain them, and you've been able to do a good job of utilizing that whole budget process to make it work.
Good thing we have Libby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, a good job.
It matters,
It absolutely does matter.
it matters, a lot.
I always like to give you an idea, so the next couple pages, so 81 and 82, these are right out of the book. The first one is the schedule of federal expenditures. It gives you an idea of where your federal dollars are coming from. Now understand that all your dollars are coming, I shouldn't say all, 98% of them are coming through the Wisconsin Department of Public Instruction, but they're getting the dollars from the federal government to do that. So you can kind of see here, total US Department of Agriculture, you get 242,427. And think of expenditures, that's the money that you get. So the CFA talk is a little bit different than, you know, revenues and expenses. But the 242,427, that's how much you receive for your food service program. About middle of the page there, under the expenditure column. Then you can also see Title I, 159,116. The other big one is special education, 145,539. And then the BSCA Stronger Connections, 109,744. And on the final page, or the next page, in total you receive 794,642 in federal aid, okay? One thing I do wanna note is the last, essentially right before COVID through now, you've had to have what's called a single audit, which is an audit over the federal, compliance over federal dollars. That threshold has went up to $1 million, and with the reduced funding since post-COVID, essentially you're gonna drop out of needing the single audit moving forward at this point. Now, if you get, you know, some oddball grants or some additional funding from the feds, you may get kicked back into that. But based on prior COVID and, you know, you were not really ever near the $1 million threshold. So I don't foresee you to need that single audit, moving forward at this point. So one thing to note there, okay? And you were just about, the threshold for this year was 750, so you're real close to being out of that compliance requirement this year, okay? And then the final 2 pages is the schedule of state financial assistance. You can see general equalization aid, 3.1 million, obviously that's the large portion of your aid. The handicap education for school-age parents, that's essentially special education aid, 213,000. Sparsity aid, 191,423. Achievement gap reduction, 169, and per pupil aid, 348,740. A lot of these are all calculation based, right? So based on, here's how many students you have, this is, you know, all based on DPI calculations for the most part. The general equalization aid, that plays into your revenue limit, so if that goes down, your tax dollars could go up, if your tax dollars go down, that number could go up, so it's all kinda connected in that regard. Okay, and flip it to page, the second page of that, on 84, so in total, you received just over 4.1 million in aid from the state. Okay, any questions on anything I covered? That kinda wraps up what I had to present, but I'd be more than happy to take any questions you might have. Yep, no, you're good. Yeah, no,
Okay, I feel like I'm.
That's
No,
okay.
Ask
no,
away.
good.
Ask
No,
away.
I
That's
thought
what he
with
said.
the, with the audit, so because you said COVID, so like all school districts once a year would get an audit?
Every school district in the state of Wisconsin is required to have an audit,
Once a year,
once a year, yep.
But now
So
you're
after
saying
your
that-
fiscal year end,
then we won't have to.
you'll still have an audit, you just won't have to have the compliance over the federal dollars, basically. So you still have to be in compliance with state statutes, you still have to be in compliance with state funding, you still have to be in compliance with the DPI
Okay,
school district audit manual.
it's just a different audit.
Yeah, when he says
It's-
single audit, it means for that single
That's-
area.
Yeah,
So since we're under a million, we don't have to have
But-
that single.
So you're gonna have the
area.
same audit,
Right.
but chop off the
So
federal
will
part.
we see you once a year?
Will
Oh,
you
yeah.
still see me once a year?
Okay, hi.
Hello.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah, so it'll
question,
just
yes,
change-
good
it
question.
changes, and then, I mean, assuming, we're probably never going anywhere near that million dollars, that would be.
But, I mean, I don't think you will unless, like I said,
Maybe.
something happens where they jack the federal aid
Yeah.
up again,
Right.
back in 2008.
Not in the next couple of years. no.
Right, I mean, it happened in like 2008 when Obama was in,
Mhm.
I think it was Recovery Act then. There was an influx in Title I and sped aid,
Yeah,
which might have pushed you over the threshold and you probably had a single audit then. I was not here then. So like with COVID, it was the same type of thing. It was an outside, something outside impacted why you got more aid.
Got it.
So I think to come anywhere near the million, I mean, if we look back the last couple of years, your COVID dollars, probably pushed you up to like 1.2 to 1.5
Yeah.
a couple of years. But once those were all spent,
Right.
you're kinda back down.
Unless Miss Aaron gets after the grants again.
I know, that's what I told her.
Yeah, but you'd have to really get
You
it.
have to really get after it.
Be your full-time
Yeah.
job.
You never know.
Especially because.
You never know when all of a sudden she's gonna lock herself
It's
in a room
federal.
and write a hell of a
Yeah,
grant.
it's federal.
Libby might have a coronary.
That's possible. Yeah, we don't wanna do
She's gonna hear more, she'll be like, no.
Yeah.
Any more
That's
questions?
exactly
that. They're
right.
good, it's good that you're asking.
Yeah.
So overall, from my standpoint, you seem relatively stable, you seem like you're good to go at this point.
No, Thank you.
That's,
guys.
we like hearing those words, that's,
Yeah, and-
that's good news.
I will say, and I know Libby's not here, and she does a really good job for kinda learning on her own and going through the software conversion. I know that was pretty hard
Yeah.
to work through, but I think she's headed in the right direction in that regard and does a nice job for you, so.
Excellent. We believe that too, but we like to hear
Yes.
from you
Yeah.
as
Yeah,
well.
we appreciate
Yeah.
your.
So,
Excellent.
all right.
Thank you.
Thank
you
for
so
being
much.
here.
Yeah,
Appreciate you, thank you.
So we do need to accept the report that we just got, so can I get a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the report.
I'll second that. April, thank you, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Alright. Excellent. Do we have any persons requesting an audience with the board tonight? Going once, going twice, going 3 times, alright. We're on to the consent agenda. There's some minutes to review. Thanks again.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, have a
Safe
good
travels.
night. Drive safe.
Thank you.
Anything you wanna point out, Kyle, from invoices and receipts?
Bill 29,232 for St. Croix Health, our OT. And that's more than 1 month on there, $2,008.71. And school perceptions, 375, that's for the written summary report they gave. That was number 29,296. And then on cash receipts, on the second page, you'll see, YS Unlimited, Youth Sports Unlimited, they made four donations towards volleyball, scoreboard, youth sports, and powerlifting.
Nice.
And then on page 3, we have the general equalization aid for $667,691. And then the Stronger Connections grant is right below that for $44,817.80. So that's the highlights of the budget. If you look at our energy costs, you'll see that this December was colder. And so our bill went up about $1,400 from last December. It was colder, we heated the building, just like your houses, so, yeah, so that's about it.
Do you need power?
Yeah, that's great, take that there.
I might get behind
It
you.
did turn on and then it like forward too, sorry guys.
Sorry.
Okay.
Alright. Daily adult short tonight.
You're good, you're just fine. Didn't we have time to look at the energy cost Kyle was just talking about?
Yeah.
Yep.
If you compare last year to this year,
Yep.
and December was colder. And I guess this week's gonna be colder.
It's like a yo-yo.
I wanted to know,
Rolling
however we,
coaster.
if you can write a grant that helps us control that,
I'll get right on that.
thank you. Alright, any questions for Kyle about those pieces? Alright, we do have one retirement to talk about. Miss Erin, do you wanna talk about our retirement?
Sure. Bonnie Musial, currently teaching 4K, moved down from first grade, did us a favor this year and did a fantastic job. She actually was the long-term sub for me, when I had Lily Taylor
Oh.
in 4K, so I knew she was good at 4K. And she told me that she really did enjoy it and had a lot of fun in her last year, so congratulations to her, so she will be retiring.
That makes me so sad.
She's lovely.
Cause she's my son's teacher and she's so great.
Yeah, she taught my son,
Yeah.
Is-
First grade.
big, tall, and old now.
Yeah, she was in first grade a lot of years, so,
Yeah.
that was a huge change for her. And it was emotional, right? And then she just like killed it, so she was
She's had a number of very dedicated years of service to this district and will be missed.
And she wants to sub next year.
And she wants to sub.
Bonus.
And we will
Personal
take her
bonus,
up.
yeah.
Parents like,
That's-
"Hey, you'll be back every
that's
day."
Which is actually going back to her roots, cause she started in the
She
district as a
did,
sub.
For about
trying to
7
get her foot
years.
in the door.
Yeah.
About 7 years she subbed.
Yeah, so, we will miss her and we thank her for all of her service. Pause for technical difficulties.
It is plugged in,
Yeah.
because I can see that.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. I
No, it's okay.
I
Checked it
No, I
before
was
it
just-
came and
that was the
then-
only indicator, but now it's off, now it's not flashing anymore. If I would just seen that, I would have thought something that.
Otherwise, you would look at.
Okay, I'm gonna look at it.
I'm gonna go ahead and talk about our donations from this month. We had a number of different donations. Cracked Skull Collaborative donated 2 large boxes of gifts and personal need supplies and food for Operation Help. Annie and Adam Headland donated $500 to the kindergarten classes. Quanix Foundation donated $2,000 to Viking Manufacturing. Trade Lake Baptist Church donated $331 for negative lunch balances. We're continuing to make some progress there, which is really great. St. Croix Valley Foundation donated $2,267 for securing French horn and bass clarinet sounds.
Yeah, asking that with those,
Got it.
they're specific to those instruments, either buying new or repairing old ones.
Got it, thank you. And Patty Crane donated $1,500 to Operation Help. So thank you to all of those great donations. We get an incredible amount of support from our community and we're always grateful for that. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Renee. Can I get a second?
I can second that.
Thank you, Chris. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, we are on to our administrator reports. Who wants to go first? Anyone? Marcus?
I have the most bullets.
All right, jump in.
We had, honors band was on Monday, and I got a really nice email from Michael Pearson, reaching out about how well our students who went, the teacher, did, Ben Adams, Cameron Chadwick, and Silas Johnson, said that they were wonderful and how supportive Mrs. Sala was. Good impression that they made for our school and school district, and just was really a lot of compliments towards them, so that was great to hear. We've got math counts competitions that are going this month. Tomorrow is our first one, and then the 29th is, I know Claire, it's like a regional, their last one, so it seems like we started to finish pretty quickly, but they've been working on that all for a good portion of the year. Blood drive is tomorrow. NHS and staff are giving blood, and that's gonna be in the Performance Center, here. Ways out now, but parent-teacher conferences are coming in the 12th and the 16th of February. We'll have some time in service to go over those and structure how we want them to be for this round. We've been doing a lot of admin meetings, and Ms. Slotty has been doing a lot of work on the schedule for next year. Target Center basketball is going to be on Saturday. That's pretty exciting. Some concerns with some of the climate in Minneapolis, but those have been fairly eased by Mr. Lipke. I think he went there last Saturday and feels it's safe for us to go, so I feel pretty confident with that. So that should be a good time. I know I'm taking my family, so it should be pretty good. Two more things I've got. Spelling bee. We had spelling bee winners. I got to be every year for the spelling bee, and I learned apparently my voice does not carry very well at the Performance Center. So I need to do something better for how I talk in there next time. But I know all of the people who were spelling heard me, so I guess that was a good thing. But Hadley Lundquist ended up winning. Alan Hill was second, and Amy Eglund was third. So it was a pretty good job on their parts. They spelled a lot more words than I was ready for.
Yeah.
So I had to really dig a little bit, so they did a really good job. It was fun.
I'm gonna jump in, cause the winner at the elementary school was Knox Lundquist. So we're sending one from each building to CISA.
Cool.
No lies, Knox was second, it was Marty
I thought it
Stever.
was Marty.
Yes, you're right. Oh, that's live.
Ah.
Marty Stever was the winner, Knox was second. Yeah.
And one more thing I've got that wasn't on my bullets, but on Monday, we're gonna have Doug Mitchell come over and present scholarships for middle school students who participated in Patriots Penn. So we've got 3 winners there, 3 awardees, which is really exciting. So we're gonna have a middle school assembly and present them with their awards, and it's pretty exciting. So a lot of exciting stuff going on here, high school and middle school.
Thank you. Any questions for Marcus? Thank you. That's a lot going on. Miss Erin?
Yeah, so we've, currently have 2 different virtual courses going with Chris Peterson for Love and Logic. There's a Sunday Parenting with Love and Logic course that has got started. There's been a couple weekends already, and then a Wednesday night class, which is more focused on supporting students with trauma. Each course has 40, 50 people in it, so that's really, yeah. Not all from Frederic, right?
No,
We're
but I mean,
covering-
but just that's that
still,
many people
that's-
throughout the area.
Yes, and
that's
so
really
now
amazing.
we're going to start advertising, he's gonna do those 2 exact classes again, but flip-flopped, like, so
Okay.
the parenting one will be on Wednesday, and then the trauma one will be on Sunday, so he'll
Oh,
flip-flop
nice,
them,
okay.
flip-flop the availability.
Yep.
And run them again in March, so, really trying to, more word of mouth and get, we've got several, elementary families on board doing that, and there's a little bit of a shuffling to try to get, there's a workbook that goes with it. So I had to get the workbooks to all the school districts to then hand them out, right?
Yeah.
So that was a little crazy,
So I
but,
was, wondering with that, cause I got a flyer and I was like, oh, this would, but you have to commit to all 6.
I think you don't have to, I mean, certainly you do the best you can. What he's been doing is after he does the class, then he shares out with the participants the video of the class. So if you happen to miss it that night,
Okay,
If that's
watch it
live,
later, cause
right,
I'm like
then you can watch
6,
it
like
later.
committing to like 6, sometimes I'm like. oh,
yeah,
I
and he's been
can't.
including me on all of those emails, so I could just see the process unfold, but, I mean, you just try, and then if you miss
Okay.
one, he shares all the video afterwards. So, I've gotten a lot of positive feedback from a handful of our parents, so that's great. And the more we can duplicate that, and like, that's just how we do things in Frederic, that's the goal in the future, so.
Yeah.
And he's helping me build like what we would use for onboarding new staff and maintaining those little lessons throughout in services and staff meetings for an entire school year, right? So we're kind of building that timeline to continue to use every year when we don't have him anymore. So, super cool. So I'm kind of elbow deep into that stuff. The other thing that I've been is taking a lot longer than I would care to admit. I've been having lots of conversations with all the curriculum companies, and good news, some of the packages were 5 years and some of them were 6, and I didn't know that, so everything's not gonna expire at the exact same time. However, so I get that all on a spreadsheet, and hopefully I can bring that, I'll communicate with Kyle, but get it on the agenda, if I can bring that discussion to a board meeting that, however that is appropriately done. Kind of that recommendation of what that looks like. When you purchase things in multiple year packages, it's a little cheaper, of course, they give you a discount. The other advantage would be, if you're only doing 1 year at a time, at some point, everything's due at the same time, right? So then those are the things you gotta look at and consider when, and obviously Libby will have a big voice in budgeting that stuff, but I'm continuing to pick away at it, so someday I can present you something, but holy cow, it's a lot.
Takes a lot.
Well, but it's a huge investment too, and you wanna make sure that you're looking at the right, you know what I mean, all the questions too, like what is the best fit for curriculums too.
Well, and you're talking to a salesman, right?
Yeah, so
So like,
everybody's is the
everyone's
best.
all
The
good
best.
stuff.
Trying to navigate
Yeah.
what's essential and what's secondary and what's
Yes.
tertiary,
Yeah,
right? Like,
yeah.
skim the fat,
Yeah,
so.
so no, I mean, it is a big process, not,
Is that a thing we would want to go through the education committee before it comes to the board?
Sharing brain, that's what I was thinking too.
I mean, I
If we can out there or something,
genuinely
that's how
asking,
you wanna-
I'm not real sure how you guys wanna handle that, I'm okay with whatever,
Yeah, I'm fine with
whatever
whatever.
people think.
We would want to do that by spring, right? Like you're gonna want
Yeah.
your
Yeah,
plan, so.
we can obviously do that. Yeah, 'cause
I thought I
education
better bring
committee's
it
gonna
up.
get back together anyways, so
Right.
we just be a little more night at that agenda, yeah,
Yeah.
that's fine.
Been planning for next year, but, I didn't, that's always in the back of my mind, so I keep picking away
Yeah.
at it.
Well, whatever you guys come up with, when you look at the information that needs to be presented or discussed, you guys can decide if you think it's a thing that should go first to the committee and then up to the full board, fine, if it just comes
Yeah,
to
that's
the full
fine.
board, that's fine too, like, and I certainly don't want the process to get in the way.
Yeah.
So,
No, it won't.
whatever.
I think
makes
it's
sense.
more of just figuring out how to pay for things, right? Cause
That's always the
Kyle and I are
right?
gonna argue about what's non-negotiable.
We have some people who want things, yeah.
I'm a little passionate.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Right.
Hers and Jada sometimes want things.
Sometimes want things. Yeah.
And then there's a budget, yeah.
And there's a budget.
And
That
then Libby
sometimes
says
changes
no.
midstream.
Yeah.
Right,
She really comes
exactly,
like a hard no.
Yeah.
exactly. Alright.
So you're like the golden goose right now? Yeah.
Your day's coming.
Yeah.
You'll want something someday too.
Yeah, you'll say, hey, that'd be really neat.
Hey, that'd be
Neat, yeah.
alright.
And it is all good stuff, I'm
It-
not
it's-
saying
yep.
it's not.
No, but it's hard to juggle all the different priorities, and there are
Yes.
a lot of them,
Yep.
and that is the fun of it, for sure. Alright, any questions for Ms. Aaron? Thank you. Kyle, on to you.
Okay, well, filing the election papers closed on the sixth, and Emily, our incumbent, is the only one who filed papers. I think that's a healthy sign for our district. Thank you for filing, yeah, but I think that's healthy that there's not a plethora of people wanting to do that. And then we have this, well, cause otherwise that's, that's a sign.
They're used to me by now.
Yeah, so that's a good, I think that's solid, but the community's showing that, hey, you know, they're happy with the direction the board's going. We have a school board convention next week. I do have a small, school districts superintendent's meeting Wednesday morning of that sessions, and then I'm presenting with the Waterford superintendent on passing referendums. If you ever hear, I'm a disciple of Luke Francois. I think he's like the best in the state, so I'm really excited about working with him on it. And then the curriculum, or the media relations director from Mineral Point, she's our connection, and she's got the presentation, all that kind of stuff for us, so I'm pretty excited about her team there.
Oh, I'm coming for sure. I
Oh,
already
shit.
bought the tickets.
Well, I asked the hard questions,
Uh-huh.
yeah. I'll let you
I'm
take
gonna
it.
have it from the
Luke is
back of the
really
room.
top notch. I count on him a lot.
Heck, yeah.
And then for the fitness center, last year we had 9 memberships. We now have 7 that have been renewed and 6 brand new memberships, so our enrollment for using the center has increased, so that's good.
Well, I didn't know about that, like how do people go, it's like the gym, right?
It's the
It's
fitness
the
center
fitness
down there, the
center.
weight room.
Yeah.
Treadmill, weight room. Come on in and.
You can
we'll
still do
take
it, it's not like you missed the
No, no,
opportunity.
yeah, no, it's still
And you
open.
get a fob that lets you in, cause there's a door to the outside by the parking lot, so it just lets you right into the fitness center.
My family
So-
just did it yesterday, so I mean, there's
Yeah, no,
you can do it at any time.
Yeah,
Someone
I
talked
just turned
about
mine in
that.
tonight,
Right.
that's why I went from 6 to 7.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's,
I was
I
really
wrote
glad
6,
you-
and she's one who brought
I
one
just
in,
had to
so.
turn mine in.
So 7 out of 9 returning is great, and
Yeah.
picking up 6 new ones. You come on in and see Jessica, and then she'll take you
There's
out
just a
and show
quick
you around a
little,
little
yeah,
bit.
there's just a quick
Yeah.
little form that you sign and you give them the money to pay for the thing and away you go.
It's
They give
another-
you a
it's like-
file.
So is
and
it like per household, or is it
Mhm.
per person?
You can either
No.
one member or a family membership.
Cause I'm just saying for
So-
me and my husband.
Yeah, you want a family then,
Yep.
yeah,
Okay.
So it's 150 for here, so it's pretty.
yeah, 100%.
Yeah. It's really cool.
Yeah,
Okay.
you can come on in sometime and we'll show you.
The hours have expanded a lot.
No, cause
Yeah.
I saw it in the note and I was like,
I-
wait, I didn't know that
Yeah.
you get the.
Yeah.
And I was really happy about the expanded hours, adding the weekend hours, and I think,
Agreed.
you know, when we first did it, there was an effort
We
to
did.
keep it a little small to see how it went, to make
Well,
sure
we
there
didn't
weren't
want 50
issues.
memberships out and we had no idea.
Is
you know what I
it
mean?
We
first
wanted,
year?
yeah, it's
So-
better to expand than to say,
Yes,
well, that's not
was this
working,
the
we gotta
first
take
year?
it.
Last year.
Last year,
Last
right.
year.
But it was, but it
I
was
mean,
lit-
first any.
more limited hours last year,
Yeah.
and so then after seeing how it went, then
We
Kyle
Added.
and the team was able to meet and added hours, which is great, and I think it's just great.
Okay.
Yeah, well,
It's great.
yeah, it's better to expand than to say, that's not
For
working, we gotta cut you
sure.
off, right?
Yeah.
For
Yeah,
sure,
so, it's good.
yeah, we really like
Is
it.
it on the Frederic website, like where?
Yes, there is a biking fitness center link on our website.
Okay, I'm gonna check it out.
Yeah, check it out, 'cause it's good, it's a good
There'll
thing.
be 8 members, okay.
Alright, any questions for Kyle?
I keep talking.
That's all right, yes.
So when you guys are going to the WASB convention, I'm the only one that's not going.
Mhm.
So, and I'm kinda, like, I wish I had childcare, I really do want to go, but I can't.
It's okay.
So how would I get like information on what you guys are learning?
Well,
Because that, it would be
yeah.
nice to like know what you guys are excited about, cause don't you
Yeah.
like kinda pick and choose which
Yeah,
seminars
so
or
we'll-
whatever you can go to?
Yeah, so we'll be picking and choosing which sessions we think are great. Sometimes some of us attend sessions together, sometimes we try to spread out, depends, it's kind of all over. And usually what we do is, one, for a lot of the sessions, some of their materials are going to be available in electronic form and we can download those. So we can share that stuff easily, like the PowerPoint and the handouts and that kind of stuff, we can share back to others that didn't go to the presentation.
Which would be me.
But also, like,
But even like.
Emily's not
gonna be there
We
every
might be going to
presentation.
something else.
right,
So then we can say like,
Yeah.
yeah, sometimes it's like, oh goodness, there's like 3 things I wanna see, but like, which one's my priority, and then, you know, like, oh, Emily's like, I'm doing this, and I'm perfect, you go watch that one, I'm gonna go here, and we'll.
Yeah, but there's like 10 sessions going on at a time,
No,
so you
yeah.
can't.
No, but I'm just
Yeah, so
saying.
Even if you
sometimes
go, you can't go
Yeah,
all.
You guys are really
And then-
excited about it. last year, and you're
Yeah.
like, this is what I learned.
And then
like, I
usually
kinda
what
wanna-
we will do is we'll come back at the next board meeting and have some time for us to share anything that was kind of really exciting. Like something, if we, like last year, I think our
Utilize,
takeaway was
yeah.
about the board development tool and some of the board development stuff we wanted to focus on. And so, you know, whatever the bigger takeaway is this year, if there's anything that somebody's really excited about and wants to share, we'll make time for that at the board meeting, cause it's possible that not all of us, I would say it's unlikely that all 4 of us attend any of the same sessions all together
Right.
at one time.
Okay.
There's just so many different things to
Well,
see,
yeah,
we'll end
no,
up
I
starting
get that,
out.
I just was like, you guys were really excited, and then it's
Yeah.
like, okay, that's.
Yeah.
I kinda wanna know.
And the other thing is that you can look at the agenda of the sessions and you can look through. I don't know if on the website you'll have access to the materials right away, or if you need
I
to.
mean, I don't think right away.
I don't know if you'll have access to the materials, but but you'll have access to the schedule. If there's a session that you're like, gosh, if I was there, that's the session I would try to attend. Let me know and we can try to chase down the materials for any of those sessions.
Okay.
So it's not the same as having the presentation,
No,
but
no
we
way.
we might be able to get the materials for it if there's
And
something.
that's on
that you
their
look at.
website.
If you look at the WASB website, there's a whole separate website
Website
just
just
for
for
this
that.
convention.
Okay.
That talks through the schedule and what the things are.
They promote it and give you like it's such a big deal, right?
Right, and that's
That
usually-
their stuff is all over the place.
Yeah, there's thousands of people at this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, you guys are getting hotels and eating buffets, right?
That's part of it too. I call that networking, but okay. all right. My kids call it networking, not working, is what they call it. But you're there all day long.
I call it not being able to go to bed at my usual bedtime, which is a challenge some days.
Yeah, so I mean, it's,
Like, really it's 8, cause I need to go to bed. Anyway, yeah, so we will have a chance to
Okay.
share, those things when we get back to. Alright, any other questions? Alright, we're on to our board member reports and governance. We don't have any committee reports tonight. So the next thing is to talk about the WASB resolutions. I had sent everyone an email, so while we're at the convention next week, there's a delegate assembly, which is basically every school district in the state gets to send 1 representative to the delegate assembly. I'm our representative.
oh yeah, well,
Were you on your phone? Yeah, cause this is where I like check my emails on here.
And so what they do is they furnish ahead of time, the WASB sends the delegate a packet that says this is what we're gonna be looking at and voting on next week. Now, the
They don't have
delegate
them up
assembly is
I don't
for,
have them up there.
that's okay. So the delegate assembly, we're not setting policy, we're not voting on a thing that's gonna become a rule or a law or a policy. What we're voting on is to give the WASB guidance on what its membership wants the WASB to support. So when they do their lobbying efforts with state lawmakers, this is the process where they know what they're supposed to try to, advocate for at the state level. So we get input on shaping how the WASB behaves. So that's what we're voting on, we're not voting to enact a rule, and it's really important that we, focus on that.
And there'll be debate there because there'll be varying opinions from across the state.
Yeah, so what happens is, they give us these resolutions, the things that I sent to you guys, they give us the resolutions, and then there's a whole process of discussion. So sometimes the resolution goes through edits during the assembly and becomes something different during the assembly than what it is on paper right now today. And so the delegate, when I've done this before, you go in kind of with some forethought, saying, here's what I think, here's what I think we think about a certain issue, but then having to be able to pivot if the way the resolution is written changes, because school districts can submit edits during the process. So what I sent you guys was what we have for the proposed resolutions. and just, you know, sort of my suggestion after conversation with Kyle, we talked through all of them, and, you know, said, this is what we're suggesting we do with each resolution. And the only one that I really wanted to make sure we talked about tonight was the one where Kyle and I have a difference of opinion. Where I'm like, well, let's see what the board thinks.
As
and
I
then
read it,
I-
I'm like, I'm not surprised, cause
Yeah.
I already had this conversation.
Yes, we
Yeah.
talked about this, yeah.
Yeah, we knew as soon as we
universal
got to it.
Oh, yeah, I know, we
Yeah.
agree to disagree,
Totally
and that's
fine,
all
yeah.
good, and it's not gonna matter to me.
It's totally
Right.
fine. And so I just thought, well, let's see what the board thinks, cause I'm representing us as a school district. So I'm curious what people think about that resolution. And again, remembering, we're not voting to enact a policy, we're simply voting for what the WASB should advocate for.
Do you wanna say out
So,
loud for
yeah.
other people that don't?
Sorry,
know
the
what it is?
resolution we're talking about is about universal state covered meals. It's a resolution that would support state legislation to establish and fund a universal school meal program to cover the costs of all student meals that are not covered by the federal programs. So, I think, you know, the proponents behind these efforts, and other states have undertaken this, you know, focus on how it helps students have adequate nutrition. A well-fed student is better able to focus in class, there are fewer behavior issues, that, you know, it helps create more equity, because we do have issues with students of need. There's a stigma attached to accessing those meal programs, and sometimes students or their families don't access those programs, because of that stigma. Folks who aren't as supportive of this would say that sometimes then you end up, a family gets a benefit when they don't need it. There are families who can afford to pay for their meals, and they wouldn't have to if a program like this were enacted. And so I think there are lots of questions from folks about whether or not that's the best place to spend dollars. So there's a few different ways to look at it. So I'm curious what people think.
Okay, can I?
Yeah.
So statistically right now, 50% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. I know our cost of groceries are, when I look at it, feel insane. And not that the school lunches here are like overpriced or whatever, but I feel like even to get, federal funding for school lunches, your income is probably based on like, you know, $7.25 as the national minimum wage or whatever. It's such a low bar that people that might be like 5,000, 10,000 above that low bar, like it's still a struggle to like pay for school lunches. And I just think it's food, and so if it's available to everyone, I don't know, I just feel like that's a good thing to be feeding our children.
Yeah, I would support this resolution to have, all students be fed, not based on income of the family. I support it.
Cause what is even the cap of receiving federal, is it like 23,000?
This isn't about receiving federal
No,
funds,
no.
this is
No.
about, cause this is,
Anyone who, receives federally funded lunch program is gonna get it no matter what. This is the students who don't, the families who
Right, but
don't
the
qualify
school
for that, so,
so the school district would cover it.
so the state
The
would
state
actually.
would.
Okay,
so
that's what
yeah.
you're paying for.
Allocated money
Right.
Yeah, so
Right.
like, so we're
Across
just
the
saying, yeah,
states.
like, as a district, do we
want
support it?
that?
I mean, and I'll be honest, I go back and forth on this, like, on a regular basis, and I used to be like 100% like, why would we not do that? And then, after having a conversation with Kyle last year at the school board convention, I started thinking about it too, I'm like, yeah, like, I can pay for my own kids' lunches, it's not a big deal, like, that's fine. And then I go back to like, well, you know, there are those families that are, you know, like, here's the poverty line, and they're here. And so it's like, these are the people who would truly be helping out, cause these people are always gonna get the free lunch, and that's great. But then I also, you know, same thing, like, how many people are up here that we're gonna be, you know, funding that money, so. I mean, I go back and forth about it, you know, just from an aspect of budgeting. I was a little bit curious, and, I guess I should have asked it when he was reading the audit report, but like, you know, the talk about the transferring the money, from one fund into our school lunch account, so meaning like our school
For
lunch program.
$93,000.
Yeah, so like we actually have to fund some of it, like,
Right, from
because
fund
we don't,
10,
we
right.
don't take in enough money through federal funds and through what payments are
Correct.
to cover it, so.
'Cause
So then
food
I look
costs
at
are
that,
up too,
you know,
right?
so then there was a little bit of that in the back of my mind too, as I was thinking about this, was like, well, you know, in essence, that would be money we wouldn't have to
It'd cover that
transfer because it would cover
$93,000,
that
right?
$93,000
Right.
too. So, and I'll be honest, like, in the scheme of where things are at right now, I lean more towards support, you know what I mean? So like I said, I kind of go back and forth, you know, depending on, and not necessarily any certain situation, but I feel like right now, things are definitely more of a struggle for people. And then, am I right that it seems like the state has extra money that they're just hiding?
Right,
Well, I think it's-
for children, like, why not
Yeah,
support children?
no, I mean, I thought about that during COVID, I was kind of thinking, you know, of all the places the government spends money, like, at least it's going right into a food program that's monitored and it has to be, you know, like, it has to meet certain requirements, that it's not just, you know.
I wish
so.
they'd up the threshold some, and I wish they'd let each school have a percentage for the kid you know whose family just didn't fill out the form and needs it, that we can just filter it to them.
Yeah,
But I, during COVID, delivered meals to millionaires' homes, and they didn't need it, but we did that,
So
so.
this resolution
So it's about, so yeah, I get it.
the resolution was submitted by the Eau Claire school districts. And they did each district provides sort of a rationale for why they're submitting a resolution on a certain topic, like why do they think this is important? And they did say that, they said, research from the CDC and USDA shows that adequate nutrition improves student achievement and approximately 16% of students come from food insecure households. Given this, the current budget surplus, last estimated at roughly $4 billion, and the estimated cost of all food service programs in the state, which is roughly estimated to be 500 million, we hope to ensure each student receives proper nutrition and the best chance at success we can offer. And so it does, I think they are taking into account in this moment, the higher costs of food and the budget surplus, like this is maybe the time to have this conversation.
and I guess that's,
To
I mean,
sort
I think
out.
what too, in the past year, the price of groceries has gone up like astronomically, yes, like, and so I think that this, you know, middle chunk of people is getting bigger, you know, like we have money, we have income, but because expenses are growing so much, it's harder to fill this, gap, so.
Yeah.
So,
Chris, are there thoughts that you would want to share?
Well, I appreciate what Renee said, because I'm pretty much on that same, I've been there too, those conflicting ideas. But I did some quick research on poverty in Wisconsin, and I'm looking at some high numbers that were like from 2016, you know, like one of the last reports that came out. And I'm thinking, are we going to let perfect get in the way of good?
Yeah.
I mean, are we gonna err on the side of caution or on mercy, you know, it's kinda like, I'm less concerned, well, especially in this area, I don't see a lot of millionaires getting, you know, sending their kids to better schools, so I'm not concerned. There's a lot of parts of rural Wisconsin and urban Wisconsin that definitely need to have that universal coverage. I think there's some suburban Wisconsin, maybe it wouldn't be as big an issue, but, since this is not a nuanced proposal, I would probably be in favor of the universal state covered meals.
Okay.
That all can change depending on how they handle it, you
Well,
know?
right,
right.
well, that's, I think,
All this
yeah.
can be manipulated to be
Right.
something
And
that is.
Kyle makes a valid point, it'd
prevalent.
almost be nice if, you know, something like that could be brought up too, is like, could we just raise the threshold of like who qualified, and so like, here's the federal, here's where the state's gonna cover, and then.
Or
you
even
know, this
looking at a
we could-
county by county
something
level,
like-
cause you can
Oh,
do that with a
yeah,
quick
you're right,
map
counties would
search
be
and say,
interesting
you know,
too,
look at these,
yeah.
look at these counties, you know, they tend to be more poverty, you know.
This is
but-
what's gonna hold you up for 3 hours in a delegate session.
Well, I can promise this one's
It's
there's gonna be a
hot,
lot of
yeah,
discussion.
Yeah,
And it is an interesting situation because it's the one time where Frederic School District has, and again, we're not enacting policy in this assembly, but it's the one time when Frederic School District has a voice that's as powerful as Waukesha School District
Yeah.
to advocate for our students
Yeah.
in an issue that matters to us. Which
I
is
think
an
that's a lot
interesting
of our
dynamic,
families.
because typically that is
Absolutely.
not the case.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, and Chris is right in saying that this kinda takes care of it. The IRS mileage rate, they
Yeah.
change it every 6 months and you get it, it's updated, boom. When it comes to how many households, or people in your household and what your income level is, it comes out once a year, it's like, why can't you
Right.
fast track that too? Even,
Yeah.
fast track is
Right.
the word you used, and,
Yeah.
you know,
we
it's
have
like,
the
yeah, this
ability for
gets it.
better metrics,
It
why
drives you-
can't we apply it? Cause I think you're
I
right,
think
a
it'd be
county by
very simple to
county,
just move those numbers,
Yeah.
but they don't, you know, they got the
yeah,
CPI every year, every month, you know, but they don't do that, so.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. Well, thanks for everyone's input, I will see how, you know, and again, it's just, you know, we do our little voting and we'll see, it'll be an interesting conversation. This one has come up before and I'd have to go back and dig out my materials from the previous years to see if, what the conversation was. Obviously it hasn't passed, cause it's back again, so, I mean, it's very possible it won't pass again, so. Cause as I remember when we've had this discussion, I mean, this is how the discussion goes in the room, because it is but I think that's where some people land is, are we gonna let the perfect be the enemy of the good? If I'm choosing between feeding a student or paying for a student's meal who doesn't really need it, and having another student go completely hungry, I'm okay giving the kid a meal who doesn't really need me to pay for it, so that this other one can get fed. That's how I look at it.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, so thank you, that'll be interesting. I do wanna say, so there was, certainly, you know, I shared with everyone, you know, what our thoughts were. If you have any, questions about those, why we chose, we can certainly talk about those. We just got an email from a district that is going to submit what's called an emergency resolution. So there's a process to submitting these resolutions. Districts submit these resolutions and they have to go through a process, and there's obviously deadlines to that. The deadline for submitting resolutions was November 7th. And then on November 14th, the state made some specific changes to the special ed reimbursement process. And so there is a district that is going to ask to submit what's called an emergency resolution, which basically just means it's a resolution that's not submitted in the normal timeline. And you have to meet certain criteria it can't just be like, oh, we didn't get our act together to submit it on time, there has to be a reason. And so it's not part of the materials, I just got this morning. So it is about, creating a resolution for the WASB to support legislation to provide the additional funding that is necessary to meet the estimated special education categorical aid reimbursement. Basically, asking the state to do what they said they were gonna do, which is fund it at the 42% level. So they said they were gonna fund it at 42%, all the districts finalized their budgets, and then they came back right after that and said, just kidding, we're only gonna do 35, good luck to you. And this district is saying, you can't do that to districts. Districts are already in process with their budget. You can't change the game in the middle of a budget year. And so that's what this district is trying to submit, is that resolution. Because it's being submitted outside of the process, the first thing that happens in the assembly when they go to take this up is 2/3 of the people at the assembly have to agree to even hear this resolution. So that'll be the first test, is do we even get to add it to the list? And then we have to, if it does get added to the list, we have to decide, Kyle and I have talked, we would support this. We for sure want the state to do what they said they were gonna do with our special education funding. So that would be the plan if this one does come to the floor. So I don't know if there are any others that people were, I sent the last thing on the list in the document that I sent you guys. The last thing on the list was a proposed amendment to the WASB bylaws. We've never had one of those before, in the times that I've attended the delegate assembly. It's really interesting. But essentially, it's a district that wants to change the WASB membership rules to allow a district to be what's called a limited active member and take themselves out of the advocacy process, but still get all the other benefits of WASB membership. When Kyle and I were having this discussion, I mean, where I landed was, I don't know why we would want to allow districts to do that, because to me that feels like, no, that's what we're supposed to do, is come to the table, advocate for our positions, have discussion, learn from one another. Having a district say, nope, we're just gonna be out of that process, but then they still get to benefit from whatever rules are made by that advocacy doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So that's why I was suggesting we would oppose that.
That feels appropriate. That makes sense.
All right.
Have any justifications?
The justification for the proposal that they provided is, it says that they want to respect member districts' rights to determine if the advocacy aligns with their local priorities, which I would say that's what you're doing in the delegate assembly already. Your district gets to vote on that. They want to preserve the organizational unity by preventing full withdrawals, because their concern is if you don't allow districts to do this, they just won't be part of the WASB at all.
Take their marbles and go home?
Yes. And they want to strengthen transparency and trust by offering choice. And I would question whether that's what you're actually accomplishing by doing what you're suggesting. So they say they're trying to strike a balance between collective strength and local autonomy. Again, the WASB is not enacting these policies.
Yes.
And so, it's, I don't know, and it was the
Either part
Kettle
of the team or
Moraine.
you're not, that's it, right?
Yeah.
That's my feeling.
That's
Just a little
kind
bit
of-
like little red hen kind of story, where it's like, do I wanna eat the bread?
Yeah.
Do I wanna
Right,
eat
right,
the-
yeah, right. I'm like,
Yeah.
There was this, what's the,
And it was-
well, I'm not part of that part, yeah.
It's, it was Kettle Moraine, which is a much, much bigger district, obviously, than us, making that proposal, and, I just don't agree. We'll see, maybe other school districts are like, yeah, we think this is a great idea, it might pass.
But I think that's what's kind of interesting, is you get to go to the table, like you said, with a lot of other districts and hear from, bigger schools, smaller schools,
Yeah.
mid-sized
Yeah, there'll
schools.
be 400 people in
And
the
to
room.
hear all
Yeah.
the different opinions that people have, and you can always usually could tell if it was a good one, cause everybody's shaking their head yes, or it's like,
Yeah.
everybody's like giving you the stare down, like,
Well, and I just think that, the process is hard, and the process is uncomfortable, and sometimes the way the majority votes isn't the way that you vote. That's democracy,
I was
and
just
that's
gonna
what
say,
we
that
are.
sounds an
Like,
awful
I
lot
don't,
democracy.
I don't love the idea of saying
It's
that
messy.
system can't work when that's who we are as a nation. We're still a nation that votes and does those things, and for as long as that's true, I think we need to back that process.
Can you use the little red hen analogy? I would appreciate that.
Yes, in a room of 400, I'm going to read the story, and then I have to go to a microphone and
This is kinda like the little red hen.
We'll
Just
get
say
it
it like
so
that.
loud, we'll go delegates and be like,
And then-
here you go.
and then
Microphone.
can I-
Everybody knows.
Can I do a dramatic reading of
Yes,
this?
yeah.
During
That's what I
during
would
this,
do.
I think
Do
people
you
would
get 3
appreciate
minutes?
it.
That was you.
Emily will have it all prepared for you.
Depends on how many people are standing at microphones.
I
It's quite
think
a
a
process.
skit would be more appropriate.
That is not allowed.
But I wanna eat the bread.
I know.
So, anyway, it's gonna be it's definitely just gonna be an interesting
So we're gonna do Kyle's
discussion.
presentation, we'll be awaiting the video from Carrie's
That's it.
presentation.
We'll take over Milwaukee, that's it.
That's
Exciting.
good. Yeah, just my goal is to not make the news. Okay. Yeah,
It's a
so,
high bar there, Carrie.
yeah. Thank thanks for your input, everybody, I will do what I can.
Thank you
Thank
for going
you.
It's
through all those.
gonna
Yeah, I was gonna say, this
Doing
was
the work.
super helpful, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, so
Okay.
going through, I'm like, yeah, I would definitely.
And you made it very user-friendly for
Oh,
us.
good, 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 thank you. It was, well, and I needed it to be user-friendly for me when I actually go there, because I get there, and then the discussion happens, I'm like, wait a minute, what am I supposed to
What are we
do?
doing?
Yeah.
What did I think about this?
Well, then
one?
you sometimes start rereading things, and you're like, how did I read that?
Well, and the discussion
In the
changes
affirmative
what
or
you
not.
think
Yeah,
about, you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
Mhm.
sometimes there is that discussion where somebody will come to the microphone, they're like, yeah, but here's this point, and then I'm thinking, oh, we didn't really think about it that way,
Yes.
you know, and. yeah,
Well, and once
so
again, why it's good to have that discussion.
It is, it's excellent, you guys have heard me say this before, I've never not been fascinated by the delegate assembly.
So pleased you are.
It's so,
And other people just walk past that.
It's
and
so
turn.
interesting.
It's last.
Yeah, I
last
walked
year,
past
Making
that,
I
us
was
was
walk
like,
past like that.
Well, I
And
see
you're
it tomorrow
dying.
there,
I
yeah.
kinda like to
It's-
keep going, I'm like, you go.
go ahead and do that, yeah, I don't know, it's interesting. Alright, thank you. So the next one was just, I've asked a couple of different folks and just wanted to have a discussion about the start time of our board meetings, wondering if we should push to 5:30 as a start time, cause sometimes I know I'm rushing from the end of my workday, others are, I know sometimes
Just because of the child here with my husband getting home, like
Yeah.
sometimes he has to stay late or whatever, and so now it's like passing the shifts and I'm like,
yeah,
okay, I look really unprepared.
It
but
just
I'm, like,
gives a little
rushing or whatever, you know?
buffer, so I thought, and we
Yeah.
could certainly look at 6 as well, there's no reason, I mean, there's nothing magical about 5:30, I just was thinking, the 5 o'clock start time has seemed a little harder. One of the reasons we hadn't done it years ago is that board meetings were taking a lot longer. We've gotten them to be more efficient, I think, they've been a little shorter, so it doesn't mean staying here till 10 o'clock at night if we push the start time back just a little bit. You know, we wanna be aware of people who are having to stay late on a day and come back early the next morning, so we don't wanna start too late, but what are the thoughts? 5:30, would that work for people?
I would be great with 5:30, I think that gives a little bit of a buffer time, at my end of the day, but
I'm fine
I
with
don't.
5:30 or 6, whatever the group feels more comfortable with.
Are you guys
I mean,
okay
5
with
o'clock
it?
works for me, but I'm happy to start a little bit later to make, you know what I mean, ease into the meeting a little bit more comfortably for everyone too, so that's.
No, cause do you have to stay at school? That's what I'm asking you guys, do you just stay?
Well, I live right down the street, so Marcus is the one who has school.
Does
I
it
don't- we used to
bother
always
you,
meet at
or?
6.
Yeah,
It
they
used
were
to
at
be
6
at
before,
6,
and then we
yeah.
moved them
There's
to
some boards
5,
that needed
so.
7,
Right,
it's
yeah.
whatever you,
We were 6.
whatever
I
works
have
for
a
the
rural
group.
opinion, I live
7
right
sounds
there.
crazy to me, but,
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
I-
but that-
yeah, that's all.
Well, even like the kids too, I mean, maybe 5:30 would be a little bit easier too, especially if they're coming out of practices
Out of
and stuff like that
practice.
too, then they would not, you know what I mean, they could maybe just leave a couple minutes early versus having to leave.
And go back.
Go back,
Yeah.
else, but
Right.
maybe they could towel off and put their real t-shirt on.
And they could,
Sorry,
if it's
I was
7 to
gonna-
5:30, they
yeah.
come at 6 o'clock, right?
They
Yeah.
get a towel.
But I mean, just, you know, maybe some of those
Yeah.
things too, but I agree, not, I mean, being, yeah, kind of aware of everybody's time
Yeah.
and stuff like that, but maybe shifting to 5:30 and see how it goes. And
Let's-
Seems like a good,
Yeah, let's give it a try,
Compromise.
because we had an actual board schedule that we voted on before, Kyle, do we need
We
a,
should
we need
vote
a
now,
vote
yeah.
to
Mhm.
say yes, and then we can record
Yeah.
that that happened, and then we'll start with next month's meeting, so,
I am curious, Marcus, are you okay with 5:30?
I think I've got the flexibility to move things around and work late on days that would, I think it's fine. If it was at 7, I could also I could make that work also, so like, I really, I think it'd be okay.
Don't vote for
It's once.
seven.
we're not doing that.
Now, if it was like
Aaron's
a
like, I might
weekly
live there.
board
Yeah.
meeting,
It'd be
okay,
over,
I
yeah.
bet, it's later, but a monthly, I think it's more than manageable.
Okay.
Thank you.
Alright,
Okay,
can
so
I
we'll
get a motion to make that change? And we'll have to adjust.
I can make that
since,
motion.
For Jessica didn't have
Yeah, I got it.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Alright, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Alright, we will start with our February regular meeting, moving the start time to 5:30 PM. Alright.
February?
Is that the back half?
That is the 18th, we're gonna, that's my calendar open.
It's the 18th.
Yes. We'll reiterate that one in here.
Yeah, I missed the meeting.
All right, there's a policy update.
Oh, yes.
Acknowledgement that Wisconsin Local Policy Update, Volume 35, Number 1, technical corrections. The November 2025 corrections have been completed.
Those were no changes, those
So-
weren't any of our changes, those were just, yeah.
Technical corrections noted is, so that's part of the process with Neola is that those technical corrections just happen, which is great.
Yes.
We want that, cause then we stay technically in compliance, which is exactly what we wanted. Alright, we're on to our, consideration and possible action items. The first one is consideration and possible action of the annual school safety drill report.
Supposed to do a drill once a year. On the 4th, we did the evacuation, so that seemed like a drill to us and it affected both buildings. And we probably will practice something this spring. We always do our monthly fire drill and tornado will be April, cause it's tornado month, so, yeah.
And there was a lot of follow-up after your.
Yeah, that was not the best part, I don't know what the best part was, there's no best part to it,
Right.
but, yeah, it was good.
Yeah, but I think you guys did, I mean, you took it as a very vibrant learning opportunity as well. It's not great that it happened, but because it happened, you
It was
learned.
nice to have all the law enforcement and the federal agents, we'll never get that service again.
Right.
Yeah, so it's really good to have all the,
Right.
all this.
I
together.
enjoyed hearing far more things that I did right than not. That was great. I'm gonna take that as a win.
Yeah, that was-
Virulent
You
that one with for a
absolutely
while.
should. Yep. All right, can I get a motion to approve that, drill report?
I can do that, motion?
I will second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, any opposed? All right. Next one is, consideration and, possible action regarding the available open enrollment seats for the 26-27 school year. Can't believe we're already talking about the 26-27 school year. So Kyle and the team always come with recommendations. Do you wanna talk through?
Yeah, in the bottom, those are all our different special education, categories, and a student isn't necessarily a student depending on their needs and services, but we are at capacity, and you'll see like a couple where we're over, that's because we have more residents than what the actual program is, so, each grade level does have room at individual grade levels, and we cap them based on the current enrollment, if we have 1 or 2 sections planned for next year. We'll take all the middle school and high school kids we can find.
And this is open enrollment, right?
Open
This is
enrollment,
open,
yeah.
so obviously, students who move in.
And
Like, if a family moves in, it's.
residents, yeah, even if you're over and a resident move in, they come on in, yep,
Yeah.
yep, so that's how we end up with an 11, where it says 8.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's how we end up at
Gotcha.
over, because
Yeah.
someone moved in and we don't turn away residents ever. And once a student is open enrollment in, they're in our account.
Did that in.
Yeah.
Right. Any additional questions for Kyle about the proposed caps? If not, can I get a motion to approve the, proposal?
Make the motion. I'll second.
Me and Emily, thank you. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Alright, next is consideration and possible action regarding the 26-27 educational options.
You have the numbers for the state report card, and there are all the different options we have for students to take classes. It doesn't list all the classes, but it lists all the programs we have, which also follows our new policy 2370, which was approved last couple months.
So we're just approving that,
We're
yes,
approving that we're gonna have early college
Gonna offer all
credit,
these
start
options.
college, advanced placement, dual credit, online, work study, summer school, youth apprentice, full-time open enrollment program, part-time open enrollment, and courses for home-based private educated students, yep, we'll have all that.
Can I
I'm not
get-
sure why they have us do this every year, but we do.
Yeah,
I don't,
I'm-
it's official then.
Yep, it is official. And if there are any questions, speak now. If not, can I get a motion to approve?
Are there any new programs this year?
Are there what?
Are there any new programs this year, or?
That's the same.
No, that's the same list as
Same
basically,
list as
yeah,
last
so
year.
there's no,
It's kind of a basic list to crack.
it's a basic
Yeah.
list, yeah, there's no new avenues out there. When you get online dual credit work, there's
That
no other
covers all
stone
the
out
bases.
there.
Yeah.
I don't know anyone else is doing any neater than that,
And there's a lot of different options that fall under,
Under those
Each of those
categories, but the
categories, so like-
categories themselves
Yeah.
are pretty set.
Yeah.
I think it's been the same set of categories since
For
we
quite a
started.
yeah, yeah.
Alright, can I get a motion to approve?
I'll make my motion.
I'll second it.
Chris, then April. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Alright, the next is consideration and possible action regarding the 26-27 and the 27-28 boys hockey co-op agreement. I'll let Kyle talk a little bit about how these agreements operate.
It's a 2-year agreement through the WIA, and it takes us, and I don't even know all of our hockey schools, it's Siren.
there's like Boosters, Siren, Grantsburg, Frederic.
Yeah,
Yep.
and it allows us, in case that one of our students or a couple of students wanna play hockey, they can join that team, otherwise they wouldn't have a team. And currently in high school, we do not have any hockey players, but we do have some in the middle school and up and coming, so we wanna stay a part of the agreement because it ebbs and flows.
Are we the lead school right now?
No, we're not for
Who's the
hockey,
lead school?
no,
That
is
rotates.
it Grantsburg?
Yeah, I don't know, but it does rotate.
Yeah,
Yeah, we were, and then
yeah, but
Yep.
we're not for this.
we're not right now,
Mhm.
okay.
That's why Joe Drexler just got these
That's
this
right,
week,
he was
because
waiting
the
for them
other
to do their
ADs had to
stuff.
get it from their schools to get it to us.
Yeah.
So he wasn't sure if it was gonna be now or next month, but when he got them, the school was put them on the agenda and get them,
For sure.
yeah.
Alright, any other questions? Can I get a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Alright, the next one is consideration and possible action regarding the 26-27 gymnastics co-op agreement. That one's only 1 year.
I don't know why it's just 1 year, but that's what it says.
Okay, we'll go with
And-
it. We're not the lead school.
And
there.
Grantsburg's the host, and they are in a building separate from the school building, is my understanding.
Community center.
Yeah, they have to rent that, so they have to work that out as well.
Okay.
Currently, we don't have any high schoolers in it, but we do have a lot of
Yeah,
youngers, like,
there's some youngers.
there's quite a handful.
There's quite a few at the elementary.
Yeah, like a dozen, would you say?
Wow.
8 to 12, yeah.
And like traveling, like.
If they'll
really
keep
far.
doing it, I don't know, but
Yeah.
And again, these agreements provide opportunities for our kids,
Yeah,
and that's, to me, that's always the
When
key,
and I
is
agree, like
opportunity.
staying part of it, you know, even though we
Yeah.
don't have someone this year, next year, it allows that people know that it is an option within our district to still participate in those activities.
Yep, I think that's important.
it's no different like cross-country.
Yeah.
This year Luck had the majority of the runners, but now this spring, we'll have more golfers than they will, so it ebbs and flows over time.
It does. Can I get a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
I will second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Alright. That's it for open session. We're gonna take a quick break. We do have a closed session, meeting tonight, so let's take a, 5 or 7 minute break and then we'll get going in closed session.
Do you want to keep these?
No, that's your copy for you.
You're gonna be reading it cover to cover.
I think what
Out loud.
No, you can have
And
it.
you will appreciate
You can have it, he gave that for